Hi, I'm Janie Donaldson.
And I'm Cindy Walter.
And I'm David Martelli.
Welcome to Quilt Central,
where we celebrate quilting
in everyday living.
Today's show is about getting dressy and making garments.
And we're going to meet the designer that's made all the beautiful jewelry for us this season.
And remember, it's all about the tools.
This is Quilt Central.
Quilt Central is made possible in part by Jacquard Products, committed to meeting the needs of artists. Janome America, Janome, because you simply love to sew. Fairfield Processing Corporation, we care for your quilts. A1 Quilting Machines, A1, Precision Quilting Machines. Ulfa, the original rotary cutting system. Sulky of America, makers of decorative threads, stabilizers, books, and iron-on transfer pins. Welcome to Quilt Central, celebrating quilting in everyday living with your hosts Janie Donaldson, Cindy Walter, and David Martelli.
Remember, Cindy, when we're mixing Procyon dyes, we always have so many tools out.
Yeah, buckets and measuring cups and spoons. It's just messy when we're done.
And for class, we always have tons of things all over. Well, now we have a little faster, easier idea, and it mixes all in one jar or one bottle.
Yeah, we want to show everyone a kit that we've discovered, and everything's in here that you need.
This is a velvet scarf, a really nice velvet scarf.
Beautiful.
And it has instructions and a little brush, gloves, soda ash.
That's to set the dye.
Yeah, bleach discharge.
Which we can't tell you about now because we have a surprise for you later.
And this is the Procyon dye mix, and this one's warm black.
Okay.
And it comes out kind of sable color, like a mink almost.
Now, to get started too, I want to tell everyone that Procyon dyes, you don't want to inhale this dry powder. So normally you would put a mask on and do it outside, but we've got a great thing with this jar. You can use it without a mask. You just simply open it up, if you can figure out how to open it up. Thank you. Perfect. And then I'm going to reach my hand down in here and pour the loose dye down there so we're not inhaling it. A little bit more. There we go. There's no dye powder in the air. Perfect. And then the soda ash.
There you go.
And then fill it with hot tap water up to the fill line. Now, normally while you stir and stir this, you should wear a mask because you just don't want to inhale any dyes. But with this, you don't have to worry about it because you put the lid on, shake, and there you got it. It's ready to go.
You want to tell them a little about the color?
Well, yeah, if we're going to use it straight, this one happens to turn out to be almost a black. But if I use it and put my scarf in for less time, about 15 minutes, then I can get an eggplant or a lighter blue color. So I'm going to stuff my scarf in there.
This is so exciting.
I'm glad the gloves come in the kit. You don't want black fingernails. Okay, one more shake.
That'll be good. And when you get this all prepared and you've timed it the way you want it, you can just dump the whole thing in the washer.
That is what's so great. You don't have to touch the dye, just pour it in the washer, and there you go.
And if you're doing many scarves, you can just take one out at a time and put some in here, and you'll get different degrees.
Right. And so you keep shaking it every couple minutes to keep it mixed up, and go ahead and pour it in there.
In the washer.
And I'll join our next guest.
All right.
Our sewing educator, Cynthia Scott, is going to show us how to make a gorgeous reversible jacket. Well, welcome, Cynthia.
Hi, Cindy.
This is beautiful.
Thank you.
Tell me about the first outside gorgeous area.
Well, this is a fully reversible coat, which is great for travel. If you can if you can
Perfect
imagine
idea.
needing a coat for a dressy occasion, but you also need a more casual coat, we've got 2 in 1 with this project.
Yeah, because on the inside then, it is a raincoat.
Correct.
Now the fabric on the outside is a,
Silk du peony.
it's beautiful.
Now we went ahead and quilted it to a pre-washed cotton flannel. Actually, all the fabrics in this project have been pre-washed, so the coat is completely machine washable.
And then on the inside, what type of fabric is that?
It's a suede microfiber that is completely water repellent, so it's a nice choice.
And it actually still is beautiful. It doesn't look like a rain jacket. You know, it still is beautiful. Not only for vacation, but this would be the perfect jacket to take out in the evening if you have a long evening planned. You know, if it does start to rain, you're still prepared.
You're all set.
Yeah, it's nice. Well, how would you get started?
Well, we start with our jacket pattern, and I added about 6 inches to the length of the jacket pattern and about 3 inches to the sleeve area, the end of the sleeve, so that we could have a roll-up cuff.
Good idea. I like a long coat too, so you can add as many inches as you'd like, probably.
Yes, you could.
Yeah.
What the first step, and we have this on muslin just for demonstration purposes.
A little mini version.
And a mini version, right. But we joined the sleeve, which on this pattern is a raglan. We joined the sleeve to the back on both sides, so we have one complete piece. We then measure down 13 inches from the neck edge of this particular pattern, and basically we're using a water-soluble pen on our real fabric and drawing an X at a 45-degree angle. So this is our starting point for how we're going to do our decorative stitches on this coat.
And you'll be following these lines, and that is your center point.
That's correct.
Okay, you'll be following the lines. And I know you marked a little bit on our next little miniature guy. Let me drape him out there. There we go.
So we're sewing one direction first with 3 to 4 lines of decorative stitches that are pretty much next to each other.
Okay.
Then we come in the opposite direction and jump over the lines that we've already stitched, and that gives us our X in the center of the coat.
Now these are line drawings, and you wouldn't actually draw on there, but you've done that to show us what to do. Okay, and
Yes.
here's one with even more drawing on it.
So when you're done with 3 lines of stitching in each direction, and I spaced each set of 3 or 4 stitches about 1.25 inches apart on this, and that works out pretty well.
Okay, and then I know you use that to match your backing, or your front panel actually at the shoulders.
Right, so after you have completed the back stitching, we then take our front that has been sewn to the sleeve, and we then find our starting point matching up the seam allowances there on the edge with for our next lines of stitching that will be continued to the front of the coat.
Okay, before you sew the shoulder lines together, you want to match them up. That's
Absolutely,
the point.
we have to
yeah.
do all the decorative stitching first before we finish construction on the coat.
Right, on the front or back. Okay, and then here you have your little miniature guy actually started sewing.
And that gives a better idea of what the stitches will look like. This is our miniature version. Now what I'll do on the machine, I'm going to use the knee lift, which is a nice feature to use for this project. And I'm going to go over and I'm going to select from our nice selection of decorative stitches. And I'm going to select stitch on this machine, stitch 21, which is kind of a checkerboard stitch. And I'm going to start sewing. And this machine sews a little faster than many machines on the market right now.
You have so many stitches to pick from. It'd be
Yes.
hard to choose which stitches. That's gorgeous.
So when I get to the point where I'm ready to cut my thread, I'm tying off with a button and use my automatic scissor.
Oh wow!
And I've just cut my thread, right.
How handy.
Now I'm ready to go back. I've jumped over the stitches I've already done in the opposite direction, and I can start sewing again. So it's really that simple.
How great. So then we have some piping and other things on here. Talk about that, because that's a beautiful finishing touch.
Well, on this project, the microfiber I discovered had a beautiful suede finish on the right side. The wrong side, though, is equally nice. It's a satin finish to it. So I use that for the piping. And piping adds an elegant touch for any reversible garment because you have a nice crisp edge, and it adds another decorative touch.
It sure is beautiful. Now on the inside, the piping is softer than normal, you were saying.
I used a chenille yarn that actually comes by the yard, and it's a softer yarn or softer filling to use for a cording.
A little more drapable. We're going to glance at this quickly then. The piping is a little bit sheen and a little different than the outside. The sheen is different, but it matches and it looks gorgeous. And tell me about the pocket.
Well, we did a few things here. I created this pocket. The pattern did not have it, but it's just a simple patch pocket. I used our 45-degree angle again, and used a decorative, it's actually a triple straight stitch, and it's used in stretch fabrics a lot, but I used it because it has a top stitch look.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You know, that's a great idea you added it, because when you're wearing a dressy coat, quite often if you don't have a purse, you still want your lipstick or something in there, or your credit cards or something, so you have a little pocket on the inside to set your stuff. But if it's a raincoat, you don't care if you have a pocket showing or not.
Yes.
Great idea, and it's a beautiful project. I think I'll make myself one for Christmas. That's usually when you need a raincoat, where I live, not a snow coat, and a decorative one. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank
now
you.
let's go see a different type of a garment on a long arm machine.
Today we have with us Judy Allen, a good friend of mine, author and pattern designer. Welcome, Judy.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
You have brought with you today some more of your feathered designs, and we can always tell your designs. They're the only ones I know of that incorporate the feathers, the roses, the hearts, and the curved grids.
Well, thank you. Today we're going to view my feathered rose collection, and that is what you have on today as the jacket.
I know, I got to wear one. I love it.
And I've put a little crystals on there to give it a little
Sparkle.
Sparkle, yes. And when my technique for quilting as well as for drawing these is to do a section by section feather quilting method, and that allows us as a continuous line movement or motion for the quilt machine. You will see here that I have made mirror images for both the front and the back of the garment, and then mirror images on the sleeves as well. And you can take these designs as a suggestion to
Mix and match.
mix and match, to repeat around the base of the jacket or the sleeves of the jacket.
We love that idea because you give us something to start with, but we can still be creative.
Yes.
Is that true art in the feathered quilting? Let's try this right here because I think it's a little bigger and we can see a little better how you do your work.
The technique begins with the rose that is in the center here, and that is a continuous line, and you just keep working your way around, and I end up over back here. And then the next section that I go to is this long center line, and then I go to the feathers on either side, on one side and then on the other side.
So you'll work up the center, down one side, and back up the other side.
Exactly. And the feathers itself, I call this the spine connector, which is the feather right next to each other. So it has an inside spine connector and an outside spine connector. And I make them varied in size, so if I'm not accurate, then no one's going to know that.
We thought you did it on purpose just to, that's the beauty of the thing.
And when I'm quilting on the long arm machine, I like to use these rulers. This is a paisley shape ruler, and that allows me to run the foot of my machine right along the edge, so it gives me a little more accuracy.
You use this for drafting too, though,
Yes,
don't
I
you?
do, yes. And as I quilt them, I can repeat the center line, or I can repeat the top and the
You
bottom.
have to
every
have
time.
a little of a skill level with your machine then to back over your own stitching.
Yes, you do. So,
Feathers are never continuous without that.
yes, and the rulers help me to be a little more accurate that way. So.
And how do you get the ends round instead of pointed? Because, you know, a lot of times when you're quilting, you just want to throw it out there to a point.
There's a smaller paisley ruler that I use, and when I'm drawing them,
There it is.
there it is. When I'm drawing them, I use this combo circle maker to make them
Make it a
round.
little rounder.
And what that does is when I'm drawing them and when I'm tracing the design onto the fabric, it helps me to get that memory of how that feather is drawn.
We always say if you can draw, you can quilt. So that's why when you use the same rulers for drafting, then you're using the same ones to quilt with.
Exactly. And when you trace it onto the fabric, that's one more time that you've learned the design.
Yes.
And that's part of the problem. When you go to a new design and you don't know it, then you're all over. Where if you
Yes.
are comfortable with it, then you can do that.
This is a wonderful tool.
In the art of feather quilting that I love so much, I try to choose a fabric that has a little motion and movement to it, but will hide some of the stops and starts of the quilting
I always call these smoothies.
smoothies.
Because they have a little pattern, but if you step back, they're a solid.
Exactly. And here I'm going to sew one that begins in this point and then comes back down to here. So I'm going to use the ruler to do that.
Okay.
Move this over here. I'm going to pick up my bobbin thread.
These feet have an edge on them on these machines, and they call it a fenced foot. And that lets you put a 1/4 inch thick ruler right up against them and not sew on it.
Exactly.
Break your needle, so they're very nice.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do this one feather here to show you that I use the machine against the ruler,
To complete the
and
feather.
then I'm going to come right around and then come right down my center line of my design.
I see that gets it right on the line then. It's very even when you use a ruler. You have a stitch regulator on this which helps you to sense motion and keep the stitches even too as
Exactly.
you go. That is wonderful. We really love that process. And after you complete the piece, then you put the pattern piece back on to cut the vest out.
Exactly. I put my shape on the whole piece before I begin because I don't want to guess
Where that pattern's going to be.
Exactly, and I want to have a little extra room for in case when I do background quilting, that takes in a lot, so I want to have that extra advantage of having a little extra fabric.
Oh, I've learned so much, and I have one started, you know I do. I just have to finish it up, and I thank you so much for showing us the art of quilting.
Thank you very much. I've been very happy to be here.
I'm so excited to show you all the different colors I got from that process we just went through.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
This one is that really deep sable, warm black color, and it was in the process the same amount of time as the rest.
Oh, interesting.
But each one had a little weaker solution because some of the Procyon had gone onto the scarf just prior.
So instead of pouring this all into the washing machine like you could have done, you took the scarf out and kept adding more scarves.
I did.
Great idea.
I have so many girls in the family,
Yeah.
I think I'll just start with the oldest one and work down to the youngest one, and they won't get their scarves mixed up.
That's a great idea. Now we're going to show the viewers our surprise, which is our discharge burn down here. And what we have done, I'll use this one. What we'll do is put our project down. You line up my template.
Okay.
And our kit came with a discharge paste, which is kind of glunky here. Get a little bit out. You never want to put your brush right into any paint bottle or any of your things because you could contaminate it, and then you want to keep it all sterile in there.
This is real thick so it doesn't run away from you, and it stays right where you put it.
Doesn't bleed down under the templates per se. And I'm just going to pat it really. I should be patting it.
And it's not an immediate result. It takes some curing time.
No, and I do have one to show you that dried, but I would place it everywhere where my stencil is. And you wanted a good thickness on there. Don't skimp on it too much. And once that discharge paste dries, it looks like this. It's actually kind of pretty in that style too.
It is. Now, it is dry and it's kind of crispy, but it'll whiten up once we hit it with an iron.
I don't remember how many seconds it takes.
Oh, it takes a bit of time, and the longer you iron it, the whiter it gets. Wow. And it'll even get to be a golden, almost a blonde color. There, can you see it's getting kind of silvery white right there where the tip is? And it's not hurting the velvet at all, and it isn't crunching it down either. It's pretty, it's staying really nice. But you see how white it's getting? So you can kind of decide the degree you want it to be activated at. You know, if you want it
That's
real
beautiful.
white or...
The other one you made that's gold here, was it the same discharge pace or is this
It's the same.
And the longer you
I
go,
just-
you get to that gold.
Held it on there a little longer.
That's incredibly beautiful. I love jewels, and I love what you did to this one.
This one
oh
has
my
a jewel.
word!
We'll put another one on so they can just see how that easy these little jewels go right on. But just have a tool that gets warm, and you don't have to hold it on there very long.
Oh
and
my
it
word!
just is right
Do
on
another
there.
one. That's so beautiful.
See, this one here is a dark one. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but
Is it washable with the jewels on it?
it is. It washes a few times. You have to be careful or wash by hand.
Okay.
This one needs to be helped off the end. If you get to doing a lot of them in a row, what you will have is you will have a little bit of goo on the end, but a little pin will help it. I don't know if you can see, that's almost the same color.
Well, what a great present we've got, huh?
I know, fast and easy.
I'm sure you've noticed the beautiful jewelry we've been wearing this season, and we get to wear it next season too, Janie.
Oh, I can't believe it. I thought it was just a season.
No, so start picking some out. And we've got the designer here to introduce to you, Patricia Connors. Hi, Patricia.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Now, tell us the name of your company.
Iselagrace.
And where did you get that?
My mother's name is Maria Isela. She's from Mexico, and I've just always loved it. So when I decided to start making jewelry, it was a great opportunity to name my business after that.
That's right.
Hi, Mamacita.
And so tell us about some of these beautiful, by the way, the whole crew and all of our guests have been going crazy.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Oh my gosh, we can't take our eyes off it, and we can't choose. I mean, everyone's got a budget, but we can't pick what we want. Okay. Start telling us about some of them.
Well, I think one of the best things for me making jewelry is I get to play with so many beautiful different beads. I started out at first using a lot of vintage crystals. These are actually vintage Swarovskis. They're probably from the 60s. And I also like some of the beautiful pearls that they use nowadays. These are faceted pearls with vintage crystals and then labradorite. And then it's just really fun to make things for all kinds of people and different uses. These are little bitty baby bracelets for newborns up to a few years old.
Oh, darling.
And then I also really love making bookmarks. These are sterling silver chain bookmarks. Some of them I use for Bibles, and then others are more secular themes, but I think those are a lot of fun, and people have really liked them. And then when I can find fun pieces like this, these are magnetic hematite, so you can actually just use one if you want a little more simple look, or if you want to get dramatic. Put them all together and they look like a one-piece cuff. And I have them in the bracelet and then, of course, in the necklace. And I also love to make pieces that people can use in different ways. For example, this piece right here, I made it to be a very long necklace, or you can double it. It's got a hook. You can wear it as something of a choker. Or if you want to be a little more sassy, you wear it as a belt.
Great idea. And this one's kind of the same too. You can wear it forwards or backwards.
Yes. That's
Inside.
right.
Well, Janie was so excited because you made these for
pink.
her,
Yes,
and you made this set for me. Tell me
Yes.
about our beautiful
Oh, I'm
jewelry.
so glad you like those because I am crazy
love
about
it.
those. They're some of the newest in pearls. They're called Petal Pearls, and I just find them so beautiful. And I'm like you, I love the pink. And we actually I have them in a lot of different colors, including a darker pink that we have
this
back
darker
here.
pink. Tell us about that one there.
That one is like a coral and a dark pink mixed. It's got quite a few different shades in it, and you'll enjoy them very much if you get the chance to wear them.
Absolutely beautiful. How about that other bright pink? That's gorgeous.
Oh, that's called chalcedony, and chalcedony has become a very popular stone lately. The matching earrings are right here. And I just went crazy when I found those hot pink stones.
I've got one splashing one back here that just keeps catching my eye.
Oh, those are teardrop flip-flop coral with green turquoise, and I've made an earring, bracelet, and necklace set in that piece.
And the next one, is that the rock crystal again?
That's
or-
rock crystal. I named that piece after Audrey Hepburn. It's the Audrey, and those are twisted briolettes. They're a very beautiful stone. If you take a look at them, they have a curve to the cut, and it gives them quite a unique look.
Here's our producer, Ivy Lynn Chapman.
Hello. Patricia, I just wanted to thank you so much for all the beautiful jewelry you have created for us.
Oh,
and I've
thank
had a
you.
blast this week. Every day I come in and say, what am I wearing today? And a few
Great.
times this week I've actually sported like 3 or 4 sets in one day.
Yeah, she keeps
But I wanted to
do.
thank you for this piece. You made this piece called the Ivy Lynn
Yes.
for me, and it's perfect. It's me.
It
I love
suits
it.
you, yeah. It suits
And
you.
you never met me before, and
Isn't
made
that
it. It's
awesome?
awesome.
I'm so thrilled you like it. I just saw the cut of those garnets, and I thought the name was perfect.
How can the viewers see more of your jewelry, your website?
I have a website. It's iselagrace.com.
Great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're our new best friend.
Quilt around the clock. Visit the Quilt Central website at www.quiltcentraltv.com for more information on this program.
That's good. It gives us a chance to warm up.
Yeah, I'm rough. It's rough this morning.
You're doing well.
I feel rough. I feel rough this morning.
So smooth.
We need a joke or something. You know, I'm like, give me a joke.
Quilt Central is made possible in part by Jacquard Products, committed to meeting the needs of artists. Janome America, Janome, because you simply love to sew. Fairfield Processing Corporation, we care for your quilts. A1 Quilting Machines, A1, Precision Quilting Machines. Ulfa, the original rotary cutting system. Sulky of America, makers of decorative threads, stabilizers, books, and iron-on transfer pins. We are celebrating quilting in everyday living by offering you the new educational beginner kits. You may call toll-free 1-866-PADUCA or visit www.quiltcentraltv.com.